So our next topic is going to be Harris and her changing response regarding Palestine. And I think highlighting the fact that this response is changing is a good point of, because at first people chastise the pro-Palestinian protesters for interrupting her rally. Whereas I'm like, no, let them interrupt her because this is Olive, our candidate. If you choose to vote for her, the whole purpose is your politician to work for you. And interrupting her clearly works. Whereas I'm like, no, let them interrupt her because this is Olive, our candidate. If you choose to vote for her, the whole purpose is your politician to work for you. And interrupting her clearly worked. So we have the first response. We'll play both of them. Is what happened at the Detroit rally.
I'm here because we believe in democracy. Everyone's voice matters, but I am speaking now. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
The stare down is very auntie-esque. So essentially, I don't think AP News is shady. They didn't put the captions for what the protesters were saying. The protesters were chanting, what did they say? Kamala, Kamala, you can't hide. We won't vote for genocide. I think that's what they were chanting. And that was her response, which I think she started the response off like she wanted to choose, like, yes, it's democracy. If I'm going to not pretend, if I am going to let people prop me up as a progressive candidate, I don't agree with that. It's not correct. Then I should allow people to go back and forth with me.
As for the candidate at the top of the Republican ticket, Donald Trump is off the campaign trail.
Not the background.
Wait a minute. I should allow for this, etc. And then you could see like it was very like, the auntie in her came out and was like, absolutely not. Like, don't interrupt me. Don't do this, which I think we can have a conversation about misogynoir, etc. I don't think it applies here because they've been doing this to everyone. And so people now are just throwing the word around. I was like, y'all are going to let the teeth come out of the word.
When it comes to Kamala, one, she's technically a boomer, even though I feel like she moves a lot more like Gen X.
She's the cusp because she's 59.
Right at the end. Yeah.
My dad is 57 and I think he's the last year of
boomer. Or first year of Gen X. Yeah. So, and so I think one thing that Kamala is going to have to battle on this campaign cycle is how much noise and getting in her ear does she allow the sort of Black middle class, college educated Gen X boomer to sway how she talks, because that was a very auntie Black mama Gen X boomer response. And one thing I was saying before, because I think we on TikTok, like all this conversation blew up about leftists and being excited about Kamala. And I'm like, y'all have to understand that in particular, and I think this even applies to like a Cori Bush, that particular crowd, the Gen X, the late boomer, the college educated, D9, career-minded Black person, it does have a rather, that's I think that it's not the last of, but I think that is the stronghold of the conservatism that still exists in the Black community to this day. And they are going to be very loud because they see themselves in Kamala. So everyone, all the Black people behind her likely represent that class and are very excited when she says, because this is something they've been saying even behind Biden, that say that you could talk about the genocide if you want Trump to win, which is an extremely poor response. But Kamala and her team are going to have to navigate, can that class of people win you the national election? And are you going to allow yourselves to just feed into the belief system that they carry? Or are you, as a person running a national campaign, going to take into consideration the wide breadth and the particular new audiences that you need to bring into voting. Yep. And that audience is much more attuned to the genocide happening in Palestine. Mm-hmm. And how do you engage with that as a politician who is currently a top member of this administration? Do you dismiss it as a top up for Donald Trump? Because we have to also consider what the uncommitted organization is. Uncommitted, first of all, in Michigan has the largest population of Arab Americans, and I believe uncommitted comes out of that population.
Yeah,
and so Michigan has the largest population of Arab Americans and a large Muslim population. And one of the mayor in, I believe it was Dearborn, reached out to talk to Biden about the response to Israel and was sent the campaign people. And he declined meeting with them because he's like, this is not an electoral issue. This is an issue the current administration is handling of a genocide. Like, we need to have policy changes, not campaigning for next year. People are dying right now. And so this sort of response and this dismissiveness, it's like people are dying right now.
Yeah.
And is your response to needing more to be done right now about a genocide, about a country that can only exist with the support of the United States? Is your response simply, oh, you want to vote for Donald Trump? Keep saying that. But I think at this point, it does seem as though her team on some level is listening, because we have a follow-up in Arizona where she's met with protesters again, and her response, we could say, is different.
It's different. The largest Somali population is in Minneapolis. Yeah. But I think largely feel the same way. Oh, sorry, girl.
Not you taking me out.
And after this, I really want us to discuss how I think her team is learning, and also they can't bamboozle people into that line of like, hey, you can't just vote on one single issue, because Palestine is not a single issue. So this idea of trying to berate people as if people have not learned in the past 10 months of unfortunately being forced to watch a genocide, that actually this issue is multi-pronged and affects a lot of American life as well. So let me play this. I think this one is a little bit longer.
Everybody, hold on. Here's the thing. We are all in here together. I'm told an extraordinary number of folks who are here together because we love our country. We're here to fight for our democracy. Which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done. Now is the time. And the president and I are working around the clock every day to get that ceasefire deal done and bring the hostages home. So I respect your voices, but we are here to now talk about this race in 2024.
After she stated that, I think it was literally 2 days later, because she's still in the Biden-Harris administration. The Biden-Harris administration sent $1.3 billion to Israel. So there are going to have to be some changes to the administration, unless the administration just wants her to lose. Because saying that, and then you can easily pull up the receipts 2 seconds later, it's not going to work for people.
I don't know if she's going to lose on a foreign policy issue that she does not have direct control over. She's not John Kerry, so she's not negotiating foreign deals. Poor John Kerry.
Poor John. Married an heiress, had all that money for a campaign, and to lose to George W. Bush is just, that would irk my spirit.
Nasty work if we actually go back and look at that election. But she's not being propped up in this administration as VP in a similar way. All this to say that, like, notably, Biden has, in a way, done the same thing that he felt like Obama did to him, which is sideline him. And so she is dealing with the foreign policy issue, but more of what are the makings of the migrant crisis. And she's not dealing in negotiations directly as some other vice presidents have had more of a hand in. And historically, even though I try not to invest too much in historic precedent, because if anything, Donald Trump has showed us what the hell is precedent. It's just about
what's precedent when
who
you're
will
white
take
man?
it the furthest. But, you know, historically, aside from Jimmy Carter, foreign policy issues are not what make or break an election. And I do wonder, as much as my For You page has been attuned to the Palestinian conflict, white women, boomers, and Gen X,
how much of it are they actually ingesting now, 10 months in? No, that's a good point. I think one of the things, though, with Palestine, I think Palestine is larger than just a foreign policy issue, in that people are now really starting to question whether or not like your morality aligns with like, why would you be killing people? Is the implication of like, that's my American taxpayer money, and this place, the bridges are literally falling down. So I think that kind of riles up people, rightfully in my opinion, to be like, well, shouldn't y'all spend this money on the schools? Shouldn't y'all spend this money on the roads? Like, Biden had his Build America Better plan, which they tried to tout as a success. I don't think the average person has seen the potholes fixed on their main street, for what it's worth. So I don't think the average person thinks that's a success. So I think that will affect her going forward. But also, I think it's because people are now basically trying, hopefully, to somewhat like radicalize centrists, like yelling for Palestine and support of Palestine at what is largely like a centrist rally. Now the centrists have to be like, wait, this is still going on? Like, you can't ignore it at that point. If every single rally you're going to have pro-Palestinian protesters be like, hey, ma'am, in middle America, I know your For You page isn't there, but it's on mine. So this is a problem. So I don't know. I think maybe they're not seeing it, but I don't think they can hide from it in a way maybe they could hide.
I mean, well, the Arab community is concentrated in DC, California, Michigan. I'm honestly, I'm gonna tell y'all, I think Kamala is gonna walk the line on the Palestinian conflict, and she's going to say, we are working on it. It is a complicated issue. We are aggressively working on it.
Yeah,
I am not the current president, but we will take a more hardline approach to pushing for a ceasefire. And she's going to pivot to pro-union, infrastructure, inflation, economics discussion, which will rile people up. She's going to talk about jobs. She's going to talk about the crumbling infrastructure of the United States. Maybe she'll tap into housing crisis, but she's going to pivot to domestic conversation and constantly get away with walking the line and acknowledging protesters and moving on. That is going to be her gameplay. I think in the game of electoral politics, it makes sense. As a person who would like us to move past electoral politics, it's disheartening.
Agreed.